Good evening. Welcome to Bourne Environmental Review. It's December 14th, 2016. Sadly, though, this is my first show of the year, so I apologize to my viewers out there. I hope to have a few more shows in 2017, maybe get some footage around town. I haven't done that in recent years. I've done flyovers, but I think it's time that maybe I take a camera and get out and show some of the beautiful spots in Bourne. Thinking of doing that in 2017. Some great trail systems out there. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully I have a few more shows. One upcoming show that I hope to have in early 2017 is a show regarding what's called hydrokinetic renewable energy, which is underwater wind turbines, if you think about it. At the Mass Maritime in that area, there's a company or a collaborative, Marine Renewable Energy Collaborative, that is going to be doing work right here in Bourne on cutting edge renewable energy in Bourne. So stay tuned. Also, I wanted to encourage those of you that are viewers who have wondered what Bourne Community Television is about to go to bournetv.com. Check out the website for programming, information. This is a phenomenal resource in your community. The station has never looked better. The equipment is state of the art. You could have your own show. I started, believe it or not, over 27 years ago doing shows here. This show that you're watching will have its 20th anniversary this summer. And I've had a phenomenal experience doing this. The staff here is the best in the business. The equipment's the best. You can have a lot of fun with your own show. I encourage you to call 508-759-6763 and speak with Jen or Elaine and ask about how you can get involved in any way that you'd like, whether it's recording events and being a camera person, working on technical directing, researching shows, or getting in front of the camera, or all of the above. I've done all of it. It's a lot of fun. It's sort of like being behind the scenes, behind the curtain, what you watch on TV every day. You get a little peek at what goes into what you watch every day on TV. It's a tremendous amount of fun. I've had nothing but a rewarding experience being involved in community television, so please consider it. So without further ado, I want to introduce a longtime guest here on a subject that I've covered, again, for nearly 20 years now, which is the National Marine Life Center on Main Street in Bourne. And with me is the Executive Director, Kathy Zagzebski. Kathy, thank you for coming tonight. It's been, I think, 3 years since you've been on the show.
I think
Shockingly,
it has.
It goes like that.
It sure does. Phill, thanks for having me.
Happy to do so. And what's so great about what's going on is that I know it's a work in progress, but
right.
It's still going. And you're active in the community. I think you've integrated, people know what you're doing, the word's gotten out. I'm just curious, has the word spread far and wide in New England? Are you getting tourists that come down and heard about you from out of state or other New England states, or is it really localized still?
A little bit of both. We've had, it definitely feels good that our community, our hometown, which is also my hometown, has embraced us, comes and visits often when our Discovery Center is open or for special events, supports us through our social media. We also are privileged to have people who can come from an hour away or more. We recently had an event this month, and a woman came down from Boston with her daughter, and they'd been to visit us before. They follow us on Facebook. They've been following the stories of the patients that we have in-house, and wanted to come and join us in person, visit with Santa, and get a behind-the-scenes tour for this open house event that we had. And so that always really strikes my heart dear. Also, we've had a couple of schools in the mid and even the western part of the state that have supported us, had me come out there to visit, followed us through the social media and through the pictures and stories on our website. And so it really is, it's just empowering to feel that all these people, not only in our hometown and right here in Bourne, but also throughout the community, throughout Cape Cod, throughout Massachusetts, and in some cases throughout the country and farther, are following what we do. Little old us in little old Buzzards Bay.
Well, and that was the original vision, is to have this as one of the anchors of the redevelopment, revitalization of Main Street, Buzzards Bay, and there's been a lot of work put into your abutter, which is the town's park, which is increasing the beauty and functionality of that whole space, which is going to be phenomenal this summer. So hopefully there's going to be some ability to cross-promote or the draw and allow folks that maybe don't know about you to say, oh, that's where that is. I was wondering where you were. I didn't know you were over there. For those that don't know, that could be are watching right now, who you are, what you do, the National Marine Life Center, just give us a brief overview of the history of what the purpose of your organization is.
Happy to. So the National Marine Life Center, we're an independent nonprofit organization. Our core mission is threefold. We rehabilitate and release stranded marine mammals and sea turtles. Right now, seals and sea turtles, with future plans to rehabilitate dolphins. So wildlife rehabilitation is our central mission. We use the opportunity of the animals coming through our facility to learn more about the ocean. The animals are sentinels of the ocean ecosystem, or canaries in a coal mine, if you will, telling us what's going on. And so by studying their why they strand and what happens to them, we learn more about the ocean. So science is the second leg of our mission. And education. We like to go out and share our work with school kids, both locally and nationally. Get them excited about the animals, about what we do, about the stories of our patients, and along the way also build skills in those critical science, technology, engineering, and math, and with a goal towards improving conservation and
so-called STEM.
STEM,
Yeah.
exactly. And then all of that is kind of underlying the conservation mission and trying to build the next generation of conservationists.
So it's not theoretical. This is responding to actual strandings, receiving the stranded animals. IFA, Cape Cod Stranding Network, is that still in existence? Cape Cod Stranding Network as an entity, or are they IFA now, essentially?
It's the International Fund for Animal Welfare.
They have merged into them.
Right.
Okay.
So we work very closely with a number of key partners, and locally, the International Fund for Animal Welfare, based in Yarmouthport, their Marine Mammal Rescue and Research Department responds to all the marine mammals that strand on Cape Cod. This is an extension of what used to be the Cape Cod Stranding Network that we had donated space to them on Main Street, and then they merged with IFA to take advantage of additional resources available. So they respond to all the marine mammal strandings, and a portion of the seals that they respond to come to our facility at the National Marine Life Center. We also work with Mass Audubon and the New England Aquarium. So Mass Audubon at Wellfleet provides the beach response for the stranded sea turtles. They're very busy this time of year. Mm-hmm. It is officially now the third highest stranding year ever for sea turtles.
A couple of years ago, it was off the charts.
It was off the charts, and it has not dropped back to historic levels. It continues to be that was a watershed moment, and we continue to break historic records before the 14-15 season. So Mass Audubon at Wellfleet provides the rescue for the sea turtles. New England Aquarium takes the lead with sea turtle rehab for the initial triage, and then we take them once they've been stabilized for long-term care, which in some cases can be up to 2 years for these endangered animals.
They just flew a bunch back south, right? Were you involved in any of that?
They did. Not with that particular flight, no. But it's pretty interesting with the sea turtles. They all the sea turtles that we have, all the sea turtles in the world are threatened or endangered. They're all very vulnerable, especially to because of historic human activity. The most frequent strander that we see in Massachusetts is the Kemp's Ridley turtle. It's the smallest of the sea turtles, and we see them as juveniles, so they're even smaller. And and yet it's also the most critically endangered sea turtle in the world. And there's just this network of people working together to try to save this endangered species. And every single one, in this case, that we can get back out into the wild can help restore the population.
What has changed that's going on that more are stranding? Have they figured that out yet?
No, it remains a mystery. So numbers-wise, it's really fascinating. There have been sea turtle stranding response has been happening in a formalized or semi-formalized way on Cape Cod since about the mid-'70s. It was actually started on Cape by Bob Prescott as far as beach response, and the folks at Bob Prescott of Mass Audubon, and then the folks at New England Aquarium for that initial hospitalization and rehabilitation care. And from from the mid-'70s, mid-'80s until 2013, especially in the last 2 decades, the average amount, basically since 1990, was 1 to 200 strandings per year. A high number, which was last seen in 1999, was just over 300 strandings per year. So a high was considered 300 to 400 per year. 2014, 2015, as you said earlier, blew all the numbers out of the water. There were over 1,200 turtles that stranded.
Wow.
Most of them, thankfully, in a lot of ways, thankfully, were these Kemp's Ridleys. And I say thankfully because the Kemps that come in are about this size. The loggerheads are a larger turtle, so there's no way that we could house turtles. And in 2014, 2015 season, we stepped up. We had been taking care of anywhere from 3 to 11 sea turtles per year since we started sea turtle rehab in 2006 when I first came to Bourne. And the aquarium took the bulk of them, and then there were always animals that had to be shipped out of state because we still don't have the room in Massachusetts to rehabilitate all the sea turtles that strand here. In 2014-15 season, and I say season because it starts about Halloween, it goes through New Year's, and then rehabilitation takes another 9 months. Sea turtles from Massachusetts, sea turtles from Cape Cod, filled every single sea turtle hospital between Massachusetts and Texas. So pretty much the entire Mid-Atlantic, South Atlantic, Gulf Coast. There are dozens of turtle hospitals that are always kept very busy handling turtles in their area. And then we were asking them to take some additional turtles from Massachusetts, and in many cases, dozens of additional turtles from Massachusetts. So every time I saw a sea turtle article about a sea turtle release in Texas, well, more times than not, it was a sea turtle that had stranded in Cape Cod. So
you think about the logistics of getting the turtles there. You don't just go to the local UPS store and or you don't put an aquarium in the back of a pickup truck and go. I mean, there's got to be a lot of special equipment and
pretty intense logistics, because the turtles, once you warm them up, their problem is severe hypothermia. With this, miracle every year that we call winter, it's wreaks havoc on the turtles. And so once you get them back up to a healthy temperature for them, which is 70 to 75 degrees, you have to keep them at that temperature, otherwise they'll start to go downhill again. So when you're transporting them, there are special reptile warmers. You have to be very careful to maintain that temperature. Flights and different, it's a logistical a nightmare. And thankfully, we have a fantastic stranding coordinator at the NOAA, at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So that federal agency provides oversight to our stranding network, and they work very closely, especially with New England Aquarium, on coordinating all of these out-of-state transfers. So as NOAA, they can call on resources like the Coast Guard and some other things. So,
So you operate under a federal permit.
we operate under several federal permits in the
It's
jurisdiction.
important to know that this is something, for those of you who are watching, if you come across a seal or a dolphin or a turtle, what should they do? Because they're not trained, or even you could get in trouble. Could you, if you start going and, oh, they're cute and petting. I took the seal home because he was looking, fed him some dog food.
Right.
I mean, I'm a little joking here, but people may have that instinct, and they may actually violate federal law in some cases, right?
Right. So
So what do they need to do? Where do they call?
with marine animals, for the safety of people and animals, it's illegal for the general public to interact with, touch, interfere with any marine mammal, that is seals, dolphins, porpoises, whales, any marine mammal.
Disease issues.
There are disease issues. There are safety issues. As much as we like to think that, Flipper loves to hang out with us, in all reality, the dolphins are frightened of us. They're wild animals. We need to respect that. They do have teeth. They can bite like any
They're not from
wild
SeaWorld.
thing.
They're not all like
Exactly.
used to humans.
And conversely, for the animal, there's a tremendous amount of stress involved in that whole stranding process. In the case of cetaceans, dolphins, porpoises, whales, their bodies aren't physiologically adapted to be out of water for very long. So with all of these animals, when they strand, there's the physiological stress, which, as we know, it's the same with animals as with people. When you're stressed, it leads to more illness and more disease. So you have an animal that's already compromised, that's stranding for some reason, most often because it's sick, and then you add any sort of stress by untrained individuals, even by trained individuals, any sort of stress, and that can exacerbate the medical condition.
So if someone sees it, could they call 911? Would this dispatch know what to do?
Absolutely. So the rescue agencies, IFAW for mammals and Mass Audubon Wellfleet for turtles, all have regular outreach to the state parks, the rangers, the local police departments. So you can call 911 or your local ranger station. The number for the International Fund for Animal Welfare for IFAW is 508-743-9548. I don't have Mass Audubon's number memorized, but if you see a seal or a sea turtle, if you see a seal or a dolphin or a whale on the beach, call IFAW immediately. If you don't have their number, call your local police or rangers. If you see a sea turtle on the beach, the guidelines are a little bit relaxed because they are so critical, and they're also usually much smaller and so debilitated that they're usually not going to bite. What Mass Audubon asks folks to do is to bring it above the high tide mark, cover it in seaweed so it stays at the outside temperature without getting too cold.
So you won't get in trouble if you touch
If you
the turtle?
move it, you will get in trouble if you take it home, but if you just
Okay.
move it above the high tide,
Marine mammals don't even go.
marine mammals
Okay.
don't even touch.
So 911, if you can't remember any of those other numbers, but most people have smartphones, just type in IFAW, IFAW. That will get you to their world headquarters is in Yarmouthport.
Right.
And either type of animal, they would obviously know where to direct them. If, we only handle this, we'll call Mass Audubon.
Right.
So, and then there's a 24-hour number there or message, they'll get the
24-hour
Okay,
message.
fantastic. So that's important for folks to know. You could be out on a January day walking on the beach, and this is or December this month, and after the Patriots play, you're walking and you're let's go for a nice sunset walk, and then you find an animal, and what am I going to do here? Think about that and report it, and stay safe. Don't let the kids play with it.
Absolutely. And the turtles, they're seeing them, they're getting more every weekend. So I mentioned earlier this was the third highest turtle stranding season. The question for last year, 2015, 2016, was would it be really low because there was a huge year in 2014, 15? And it didn't get all the press, but it wound up being over 600 animals,
Wow.
which is still beat the other ones.
Have the necropsies shown anything in the environment? Any
No.
diseases or
No.
anything? It's really amazing.
So this year again, same thing. What will it be? Well, now it's, I want to say it's over 400 now, but that's changing daily because they're still stranding.
Interestingly, could this be a sign of the healthy population? That the numbers in aggregate are greater and therefore the percentage of strandings overall hasn't changed, just that they've grown in overall population? Is that possible?
That's absolutely possible. And I think the best theories that I've heard combine a number of different reasons. So one thought is that the population is increasing, and the population of Kemp's Ridley turtles, the one that strands most frequently and that is most endangered, is increasing gradually, although they took a big hit in the Deepwater Horizon oil spill a number of years ago. So increasing numbers, more animals, more strandings. There's also the thought that there's some relationship to, at least in the huge year, that what's happening with these species of turtles that strand here is after they hatch, they spend a few years basically floating around the Gulf Stream. And when the Gulf Stream comes north past Cape Cod, Mass Audubon at Wellfleet scientists have found that there's they call it a warm water bridge. So the waters in Cape Cod Bay are a little bit warmer than the open ocean. You've got the Gulf Stream, and then it creates sort of a little bit of warmer water. So the turtles that start exploring start to come closer to shore. The water's warm enough that it attracts them in. Once they get in, we've got fantastic habitat here. As we know, we love Bourne, we love Cape Cod Bay, and it's great for the turtles too, until winter comes.
Right.
And then they get
the big arm hooks them in. And what do they eat?
So sea turtles eat a lot of different things depending on species. Most of them eat different kinds of shellfish. The Kemps are crabivores, so they particularly like crabs, but they'll eat squid, seaweed, shellfish, other fish if they can get it.
They're fast enough to catch a squid?
Jellyfish more often.
Okay.
We feed them at the Marine Mammal Center, or at the National Marine Life Center, we feed them squid and herring and fish, but in the wild they'll eat what they can get. The leatherback turtles, it's another species that we see in Cape Cod Bay that actually doesn't strand with cold stunning. They have different issues. They love to eat jellyfish, and of course with these animals that eat jellyfish and eat brightly colored fish, a big major problem is plastic in the ocean.
Glad you mentioned that. Town of Bourne, I'm very proud of, the recycling committee sponsored the local bylaw that passed to ban the distribution at the retail outlets of these plastic bags that we're all familiar with at the local convenience store or retailer, where you've seen people go in and they get one little pack of chewing gum and it's an unconscious reflex by the attendant to put it in a bag, and they don't even. I've trained the people, they know me as the bag guy, say, oh yeah, he doesn't want a bag, I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years.
Oh, me too.
And they go, oh yeah, and the retailers I've talked to, they're fully supportive of it, and they say they're shocked at some of the people, what they ask a bag for. And then they're blowing all over the place. If you go on to CNN.com, and type in Trash Island. I sent out a video link to a bunch of people. There's a whole story about Midway Island out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, which is in the middle of what's called a gyre, G-Y-R-E, which is basically think of a drain in a bathtub. All the plastic in the Pacific, and this is all over all the oceans, in every ocean, Atlantic, North Atlantic, South Atlantic, and it just kind of swirls all the plastic debris, and it collects on this one island out in Midway Island, the famous Midway Island, and it is choking in plastic. It is unbelievable. And then they open up the carcasses of the birds, and they're filled with bottle caps, and then the turtles think that the black bags are jellyfish, and so they'll ingest those. And it is a international problem. I'm in the solid waste business, as folks who watch this show know. I work for the town at the landfill and the integrated solid waste management facility. I'm on the board of a local chapter of the Solid Waste Association of North America, and we deal with national solid waste issues, and we're co-locating our annual conference with the International Solid Waste Association, International Congress in Baltimore in September. And when you get on their website, they deal with developing world in solid waste issues. And when you look at what's going on in Central America, Indonesia, Philippines, around the world, where Africa, they don't have the infrastructure in place. And for a variety of reasons, socioeconomic, political, corruption, a whole host of reasons, cultural, people live at the landfills, and waste management in general, what we take for granted, have a place for everything and everything in its place. The place they have is the street. They drop it on the ground or on the beach, and the videos of what people are living in, there aren't littoral areas where their huts are in the water. I mean, they're just brimmed up to the brim with plastic waste floating everywhere. And then, of course, that all gets flushed out, goes away, quote unquote. It gets flushed out into the Atlantic or Pacific. It doesn't go away, it just breaks down to smaller and smaller particles. Or you have a major tsunami event in Indonesia or Japan, and it basically comes in and it just flushes all the land debris back out into the ocean. And the radiation, even the plastic waste from Fukushima, is going up in the Northwest. So it doesn't go away, folks. And we do a better job that we learned from the 60s and 70s, even the 80s, when they were dumping medical waste off of Boston Harbor.
Right.
The medical waste laws didn't even come online until '87. Incredible. So what you see where those that come to the Dorothy Swap Shop and Recycling Center, I mean, that's a relatively new. Even in this country, we had to learn those lessons. And so what's encouraging in this region is just about every town in the Cape has an ordinance on this. The state's looking at a statewide ban of some sort. California has banned it as a state. So bring a bag, and this is one simple thing you can do.
Right.
We have, for all what we do, we have to help all those around the world because we could get it perfect, but there's still huge swaths of the world where they have absolutely no control over what they do, and it just flushes right into what we get exposed to. It's amazing that we haven't seen all that plastic come up into the Cape yet. We're lucky in that regard. This island, the video will just break your heart. I'm sure you've seen numerous videos of this.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of Midway. I have colleagues who've gone to Midway and done necropsies, medical dissections, like an autopsy of animals there. I have to second that. I am so proud of the town of Bourne. I'm proud to live here. I'm proud that we have our nonprofit business, the National Marine Life Center here. It's when we passed the bag ban, I was just incredibly proud that we did that and joined most of the other towns on Cape and an increasing number of towns across the state. I also have to say that I'm very proud of our ice swim and our fantastic recycling facility, and I must confess I gloat a little bit with friends from neighboring towns who don't have what we have here in Bourne. I want to challenge you, Phil, and all of our viewers. So, plastic bag. Think now about the next thing you can do. And one thing that I've been trying to do lately, after seeing a 10-year-old do a whole campaign on this with a YouTube video, is straws. Think about everything that you just use once. And plastic has some great uses. Using it once and throwing away, I would submit, is not useful. Plastic straws, that's one thing I'm working on. I carry around a metal straw, but I often don't remember to tell the wait staff not to bring me a straw. They know at Crew a Tie. When I go there, they don't bring me a straw automatically.
Well, when I was a kid, we had thank you, by the way, for your kind words about I swim, and that's a credit to the staff there. We have a lot of excellent staff that are interfacing with the community every day at the recycling center. We call it the retail operation, and then there's the wholesale behind the scenes, which is the landfill, but that's a credit to all the staff there. Thank you for that. Is the Curly Q straw. It was like a permanent straw that you got as a kid, and you'd get the chocolate milk and you kind of watch it. It was a reusable straw. It was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
So maybe get one of those if you really want a straw instead of the one time and throw it away.
Yeah. We have these fantastic Bourne TV mugs instead of a plastic cup. I'm proud to be drinking from this instead of a bottle.
National Relief Center has mugs, I'm sure, right? Yeah. So.
We do.
Let's promote the website for those that want to know more information. It's nmlc.org still.
Yes.
Right? 508-743-9888. So check out that for all sorts of events and hours of operation for holiday hours and so forth.
Right.
So you're on Main Street. What can the public do to interface with your facility there? Tell us a little bit about what you have available to the public and some events coming up, perhaps.
Absolutely. So now, like a lot of Cape Cod, we're in our slow season as far as our public interface. Our visitor center is open for free to the public from Memorial Day through through Labor Day, and then weekends through Columbus Day. We also open during February and April school vacation week with a full slate of educational activities on a drop-in basis for kids and families. Quarterly, we do. So the visitor center has marine animal specimens, some activities, hands-on, and a live camera into our marine animal hospital. So for the safety of our visitors and the animals, for a lot of the reasons why we spoke with about not interfacing with them on the beach and keeping clear, we also really limit anybody going into the hospital itself. I don't even go in there unless I'm taking care of the animals.
I've had a couple
myself.
of tours, but I remember having to put booties on, and then you wipe, or at least go into a disinfectant bath on your shoes, and then this whole
it's a process.
Quarantine,
it's a
if you
hospital.
will.
We're a hospital and not an aquarium. So, but I think what we do is really cool, and I love to share what we do. So we try to make. We have volunteers staffing our Discovery Center when we're open. Often these volunteers are interns who work with the animals so they can tell firsthand stories about their experience with the animals. We've got the live cams, as I said. We do have some live cams available on our website. Those are a little sketchy. The one in our visitor center is nice and clear. We do quarterly open houses. So the next opportunity to visit will be during February vacation week. Okay. We'll be open for the entire week, and the first Saturday we will have a For the Love of Turtles open house, and at that point we will be offering behind-the-scenes tours. The open houses, the behind-the-scenes tours, because they're a little more staff-intensive, we do ask for, and we do charge a nominal fee. All the other time it's free to get in. And our education programs charge a nominal fee, but a lower cost if you're a member.
It's a bargain because it does cost a lot of money to run these facilities, setting aside the capital expense and the debt service to build the next level. But there's food, there's staff, there's medicine, there's outside experts you consult with. I mean, think about maintaining your own pets in your home, times 10. So every little bit helps. There's fundraisers all during the year. Talk about the Mermaid Ball.
Absolutely, yes. There's no mass health for the turtles or the seals, so we have to be mass health for them. One of our main fundraisers every year is the Mermaid Ball. And that is in August. It's a gala event like many other nonprofits do, a dance, a silent auction, a meal. We like to make it a little bit more whimsical. We encourage people to come in costume, whether or not it's a formal costume or simply marine-inspired affairs.
Some great ones. I went this summer with some really creative people there.
It was a lot of fun. So we also have an upcoming 5K race on May 7th. That was just confirmed for 2017. And those are our two main fundraisers.
On the canal?
Right on the canal, yeah.
I have to get inspired to run that one. I haven't done that one yet, so it's only 3 miles. So I think.
All right, folks, you heard it here.
Right. Got to get in shape for that. You do have some patients now. We're going to show some still shots of the turtles and some seals that you have.
Yes.
But you name them as they come in. And I think, tell us some of the names of your patients right now.
So we have a lot of fun. We still have 2 seal patients in house. The winter tends to be a slower time for seals, but we still have 2 current 2 seals that are harbor seal pups or weanlings. With our seals, we choose a naming theme. We've done that for the last 3 years. Last year it was herbs and spices. The year before, to coincide with the centennial, they were names that were associated with the history of the Cape Cod Canal centennial. Barclay, for example, the builder of the canal, was a harbor seal, our first harbor seal. This year, we have a theme that was suggested by one of our summer interns last year, and I think she led the voting on Facebook that really pushed it over the edge. But the theme has been seal-lebrities. So we take some fun celebrity names, and we insert the word seal at an appropriate place. So I did bring pictures of our 2 patients that we have right now, and we use celebrities a little bit loosely, we're pretty liberal in our use of celebrities. Let's see, earlier this year, some of the first animals we had were Seal Armstrong was a gray seal back in January. Frank Seal Natra was a harp seal. Celine Dion was a harp seal.
Good one. It just was. Yeah.
Shaquille O'Seal was a harp seal. That was one of my favorite names. Then we had a number of harbor seals. This Franken seal is a harbor seal that came in at the beginning of October. So we had some October-themed celebrities. With the harbor seal, he came in as a weanling, which means he was on his own. He had been weaned from his mom, but he wasn't yet a year old. Very vulnerable time for many wild animal species, a time when they often get in trouble. They don't find food to eat. They just wind up being susceptible to a lot of different illnesses. So he came in malnourished, dehydrated, various types of infections. I'm pleased to say he's on the rebound, and we hope to be releasing him hopefully pretty soon in 2017. Seal Rogers Williams. This is our internal celebrity because our vet is C. Rogers Williams. So we did take the liberty of naming him after our veterinarian. Thankfully, he lived, both seal and vet. And Seal Rogers is similar illnesses, Franken seal.
What's on the top of his head?
He was in a tank with several other animals, so we glue a
just
poker
identification
chip to tell them apart. Because we have to be able to see who's eating what, which seal to pull for what meds,
Sure.
a lot of different things. So there's a veterinary safe adhesive that we can put on them to tell them apart.
Yeah, you're not using super glue.
No, we're not using super glue.
How about seal? Well, the obvious one is seal.
We did have a seal.
Seal's the singer,
Seal didn't make it, yes.
And then you have a couple of...
we do have a number of turtles. So we have currently 29 sea turtles in house.
Wow.
They are all Kemp's Ridleys. 4 of them are actually left over from last year's stranding season.
What do you call a group of turtles? A gaggle? That's geese, but a pod? It's not a pod?
It's not a pod. A float.
That's dolphins, right?
Yeah, and in the wild they don't normally naturally hang out in cohesive groups, except at certain times a year for breeding or something.
Interesting.
But so Jedi, we've got that movie coming out this
Friday.
Yes, Jedi is a Kemp's Ridley turtle that stranded last November, and he's been with us for a year now. He recovered from his initial cold stun, and the hypothermia that they get is called cold stunning. It results in a lot of complications because it's a chronic event. They're getting sick over a number of weeks. Most of them that come in are they're in severely critical condition. They have pneumonia, malnourishment, dehydration. Many have broken bones, skin damage, lesions. And then once they start to get better from that, often it's kind of a 1-2 punch. Several of them develop these bone lesions called osteolytic lesions. It's a type of polyarthritis that impacts them at the flippers, at the wrist of their flipper, the elbow, shoulder, their knees, and it is it's linked to the fact that they became hypothermic and they have growing bones. A similar condition occurs in human children with growing bones, sometimes with hypothermia, and the bones start to erode away at the joints.
Oh boy!
And it's incredibly painful. These poor Jedi and the other 3 got it not only in one place but in several joints on several of their limbs. So there is a surgery that the New England Aquarium has tried on a few turtles, including one that they just sent to us. That's started to be successful. But for the most part, surgery is pretty dangerous on a marine animal. So in many cases, we provide supportive care. That means pain medicine. That means tube feeding them when they're not eating, which, if you're not feeling well, you don't eat. Anti-inflammatories, fluids, the works.
What about vitamin D or anything like that?
We do occasionally, when they're eating, they get a full suite of vitamins. If they're not eating, we'll either put it in the formula or we'll inject them. Right now, some are getting a vitamin B injection, actually. And I think the vet just prescribed some vitamin D for Jedi in our rounds this month. So that's Jedi. And then Peso is one of our newest. And Peso is one of the smallest turtles that we've ever got. Brand new, just stranded a couple weeks ago. We've only had him, so he stranded about 3 weeks ago. We've had him for 2 weeks. Jedi's about this big. Peso is about the size of my hand. Weighs less than a pound.
Wow.
And so this year we got a lot of really small ones. Not sure why.
No theme here, though. Naming theme.
No naming theme. With the turtles, we actually offer a sponsorship for donors who donate at a higher level of $500 or more. We offer a naming sponsorship for the turtles. And otherwise, for great in time for the holidays, we also offer animal adoptions for current and past patients if people want to contribute to the program and get a gift for somebody.
Virtual adoption.
Virtual adoptions. They
not,
don't get to
you're
take
not going to
them
bring
home.
them home. No.
Trust me, the first time you smell a seal, you will not want to take him home. They belong out in the wild, out in nature. And sea turtles can bite. My goodness, you really don't want that around your children.
Yeah, I think that would, chop your finger right off.
Yeah.
So those that have come down to your facility have seen the infrastructure. Over the years, it's grown, and some structures were torn down, and then you built the new addition where the larger tanks are, where you hope to have bigger tanks in the future. Bring us up to date on the capital campaign, what you're raising funds for, what your progress is, where you are in that whole progression.
we had some great activity this year at our leadership level with our board of trustees. We passed and we developed and put together a strategic plan and to try to guide us. So over the years, we've had various capital fundraising efforts, plans, small and large projects, and we are at a point with the Marine Life Center, having also worked on building program over the last number of years. We are at the point where we are constantly in demand for animal rehabilitation, to the point where we're having to turn away animals in need, turtles and seals, and no space right now for dolphins. If we had the space, we could have 2 or 3 or 5 times the number of animals that we currently have. We are in demand for our science. People are interested in samples from the animals, like a blood sample or a nasal swab that we take can inform an MIT study that they're doing on influenza in seals. So it's sort of a win-win. It's a diagnostic sample for us and a research sample for them, the same thing. So we're in constant demand for science. we're in constant demand for education. So we've been at a key point. We had our biggest education year ever, reached over 10,700 children and adults in our education program.
Phenomenal.
And in like over, it's almost 300 programs. And I had to turn away dozens of people throughout the year. So we are in a place where it's time for growth. And so our board made a strategic plan that has threefold. One is to begin and implement a capital campaign, a full-blown campaign, which could take a few years in the planning stage to do it right and to get those leadership gifts. And then operational sustainability, important to every small business or nonprofit, and then continuing to grow and develop our programs. So we have that guiding us. We're now in the process of looking for some external support for consultants for a capital fundraising effort. So we still have the same goal, the same plans. And
Architectural plans.
And
so there is a design, you know what you want.
We know what we want, we know
roughly,
what we need.
What are we talking for money?
We're talking an additional 12 plus million above what we've already paid, which is we've already invested $3.5 million in what we have so far.
And you have the land, you have the access, you have a seawater intake and pump station and filtration. Those are major steps.
Right.
You've developed a reputation in the community, in the academic community, and nationally. It's great timing. It's not when, over the years I've done the show, going back to the beginning, it was abstract. And then, can't believe you've been here for 10 years.
I know.
You came on board, and the next level where you actually got tanks, it started small and it's grown, and you've replaced structure, and you've got what you have there now, which is phenomenal with the translucent panels, and I think the timing is great. I still am a little shocked that there hasn't been more attention paid to this organization from major players, whether it's the federal government or academia. You mentioned MIT, Harvard, Tufts. I mean, these are institutions with multi-billion-dollar endowments. I mean, Harvard's got a $36 billion endowment. In the academic world, I would think there'd be interest in supporting this, especially Tufts, one of the leading veterinary hospitals in the world, in some fashion,
right?
In kind at least, or some sort of research grant that they could fund you for. You've got, again, New England Aquarium, who built a facility on the South Shore at the Quincy Four River Shipyard. Certainly, with all the overflow requirements, there needs to be is there some sort of network where you all are kind of working hand in glove to help each other, or is it facilities competing against each other, or could you maybe go together and partner as a group for Southern New England to go to somebody?
Yeah, and I think it's hard. Like, we do have strong partnerships. That's another thing that we've built over the last number of years, that it is so great working with other organizations that do similar things. The New England Aquarium, IFA, Mass Audubon, Center for Coastal Studies, within Massachusetts itself, and then we're all part of what's called the Marine Mammal and Sea Turtle Stranding Network. So that's an affiliation of mostly nonprofit organizations, some science organizations managed by NOAA, who have the authority and training and permits to deal with marine animal strandings. I think it's tough to collaborate on a monetary level because everybody, and it's a matter of scale. To me, that umpteen million bajillion dollar, endowment that certain organizations have sounds amazing. I'm sure with the program, it's they're also trying to make ends meet. So it's hard to imagine from my little scale down here, but all we can do is keep trying to look at where it makes sense and reaching out and developing partnerships. In some cases, they're they help us directly with resources and funding, and in other cases it's more programmatic.
You need a whale.
We do need a whale.
It's a figurative whale, which is a
figurative
term
whale.
at the casinos, which is a big player who comes in, a lot of money, and draws a lot of attention. And I'm thinking there's got to be somebody out there of that stature, or institution, or company, or individual that would draw a lot of attention and be interested in investing because it's up and running and has a proven track record as a vital part of the marine community and research and education, all the things you've been talking about here. It's not theoretical. You've done a lot of work. You've proven that you can do things in the community to get to a certain level, and a lot of major donors are reluctant to invest at the very embryonic stage because they want to make you work for it. They want to see that you're real. You're not a fly-by-night. I think you've proven that. I mean, you've been up and running 18 years now. I can't believe I'm saying that. Well, 18 years, it's shocking. It's time for someone to come in. So hopefully this campaign, are you going to have a formal launch of that? A lot of press on that?
Well,
or,
with that, it's not secret because it's been our plan all along to raise capital funds.
It sounds like you're going to have a reboot, if you will.
A reboot, that's a good way of putting it. And part of that reboot is really with a historic capital campaign, you have a quiet phase. So I know I'm talking about it, so it's not necessarily quiet, but we need to increase our own internal infrastructure. I mean, right now, almost every dollar that we bring in goes right out to the animals, to that mass health for our seals and turtles. That's not actually funded by Mass Health. That's funded by you and me and everybody who comes to the Mermaid Ball. So we know that we need to build some fundraising infrastructure. Like a small business needs to grow their salespeople. We need to build some fundraising infrastructure. There are 4 of us. There are 4 of us full-time, a couple of part-time, and a lot of volunteers. And with 4 of us part-time, we take care of 100 animals a year, 100
You're doing
big
operations.
Animals a year.
You need somebody focused
students.
on fundraising.
Yeah. So it's fun. It's a joy. We're all involved in a lot of different things, and we need to take kind of organizationally to the next step and get some additional build capacity so that we can get out there and find those whales, both figuratively, so that we can bring the literal whales in.
And there was a humpback whale stranded.
And recently. I will tell you, we will never have a humpback whale in our hospital.
But it just shows that there's larger animals around out there.
Right.
I'm just curious, with the Cape Flyer and the summer train, do the people get off the train in Buzzards Bay and say, "What's that over there?"
They haven't, and I think part of it is the timing. We close our visitor center really before the train arrives. I would love to see commuter rail for the town for a lot of reasons. I'd love to figure out how we could use the Cape Flyer more. The folks who run the Cape Flyer are very supportive, and we've done a little bit of cross-marketing. So
I'm wondering, maybe you pick one weekend.
Yeah.
Where you extend the hours or something to have Cape Flyer Day, and just
try it.
Try it. Hey, you're open an extra 4 hours just so that they can walk in, even it's while they're looking for the bus, they know what's going on. And you got the Chamber of Commerce with the brand new facilities there too.
Yeah, they did some nice expansion
so maybe there's
too. So
talk to Marie Oliva, see if she would be to have the train, the Commerce. Chamber of Commerce, I don't know if they're open during those hours. I don't know what the hours are, but all 3 kind of open at the same time, at least one synchronous meeting, so people get off the train, hit the chamber, find out what to do in the area, and I can go over here on a Saturday, so maybe it's a Saturday or a Sunday, but as a way to get the word out. Just thinking about this.
That would be a lot of fun. Absolutely.
Again, when people come, we've got them right in Buzzards Bay where we want them. It's perfect. I want to give your website out again. It's nmlc.org, and the phone number is 508-743-9888. And any way you can contribute, go to an event. If you are a whale, please give Kathy a call. She'll be happy to talk to you and give you all the information you're looking for. There's so much to talk about. We could go on for hours, but this project in Bourne, those that are watching that don't know about this, this is something that's been in the community for 18 years. The late Roland DuPont, a selectman in town, was the leading advocate for this. I remember him talking about it in 96, 97, working the deal with Mobile, who owned the property, Grossman's, all that's where, you know, those of you who've been in town a long time know what that was like down there. It's a phenomenal story. It's time to take this to the next level. They've proven themselves, so get involved. Let others know, off the Cape know. If you have contacts or ideas, call Kathy, let her know. I think we could take it to the next level, because Main Street, I'm starting to see a little movement here. We get the sewer, package plants, regional sewer capacity that we're looking at with Mass Maritime, that it's going to, Buzzards Bay is poised to take off. So I want to thank the viewers for watching. My name is Phill Goddard. Kathy, thank you for being on again. I wish
Thanks
everybody
so
a
much,
wonderful
Phill.
holiday season. And again, if you're interested in having a show, call Bourne Community Television at 759-6763. Happy New Year, everybody. Take care.
Was rescued by the International Fund for Animal Welfare, and some of their staff and volunteers are here with us today, which we're really excited about. She had alopecia, so hair loss all over her body, and some small wounds and cuts. She's a really large animal, actually the largest seal we've ever treated in our hospital. And then we also have Barkley and Rose, two small harbor seal pups that were abandoned pups. Rose was rescued in New Hampshire and Barkley from Maine. They only were in the wild for a couple days before coming to rehabilitation at the National Marine Life Center. Their moms left them on the beach, which is natural, to go hunting and fishing, and unfortunately didn't return, either due to human interaction or predation or something of that sort. We'll never know for sure. Rose was rescued by the Seacoast Science Center, and we have one of their staff members with us here today as well. And Barkley by Marine Animals of Maine. We will be releasing Mary Arnold first, and then Barkley and Rose together afterwards.